Welcome to Chapter 30. We're going to go over the burns section. Okay, so with the burns, we are looking at the T codes again. With the burns, there's exceptions to sunburns. We're talking about non-healing burns, necrosis of burned skin. So we're going to be looking, the seventh character is going to be initial encounter. We're going to have a D for subsequent. We're going to have the S for sequela. Okay, so when coding burns, you assign separate codes for each site. So when I talk about this, we'll get a little more detailed here, but first thing you need to know the difference between first, second, and third degree. Keep in mind your first degree is limited to the outer layer of the epidermis. Second degree burns is going to be partial thickness injury to the dermis. They heal slower than first degree burns. I'm sure everybody's had probably a first degree burn before. Third degree burns, of course, those are the worst. We have a dermal barrier loss. We have necrotic tissue. Deep third degree burns, they're like, can be necrosis, it's thrombosed vessels. Okay, so again, to code a third degree burn, make sure that the physician documents that that's what it is. We also are going to talk about sequencing. Okay, when burns of the same anatomical site and on the same side are of different degrees, they're classified according to the highest. Okay, so again, third degree takes precedence over first, second over first. So if I have a burn, a second degree, and a third degree burn on my right thigh, I only code for the third degree. Okay, no code is assigned for the second degree. When sequencing your burns, make sure you just code the first highest degree burn, the most severe, and then any additional after that. Okay, multiple sites should only be assigned when the medical record does not specify the individual sites, because a lot of them will say there is a code that says multiple sites for a burn. 7 character values, I talked about that. A is going to be the initial active treatment. D is for encounters after the patient has completed their active treatment. And then sequela is going to be they're coming in because they have a scar, scar formation. Okay, so that's when we're going to use our S code. And then we have Z codes. Read through that. Let's go to the extended body surface involved. Okay, so our fourth character here is how much of the total body was burnt. Okay, some of your examples tell you, some do not. And then your fifth character is the percentage of the body that is burned with third degree burns. Okay, so what I'm going to do right now, and just kind of a heads up, this is my electronic book. Okay, you can get to the same way in your Alpha textbook. So everybody look up burn, okay, in your Alpha section. Once you look up the word burn, now go to extent. So if you have to pause the tape, go ahead and pause the tape. Okay, so we're going to say that I had 35% of my body was totally burnt. Okay, but I only had 10% that was third degree burns. Okay, so if I look at if I have 35%, it goes right into this area. Okay, that's total body. And then if I only had 10% fourth degree, my code's going to be T31, 31, right here. And then you look again back in your tabular, there's not another character. Okay? So that's a big thing there for extent. All right, so go through the rules of nines. Just make sure you read through that. Sunburn puts you in a different category, puts you in the L categories. And then again, we are going to have external causes of burns. Okay, so with burns, let's go back again. I told you with the last chapter to make sure you go ahead in your ICD-10 book and do their own chapter here, or mark off your own section for extent. Okay, so again, this probably pretty much wraps up Chapter 30 for burns. With that, if you just look at exercise 30.1, with a lot of these, there's could be like number 2, there's a lot of T codes. Just because, again, you have to go ahead and code every part of the body that has been, you know, in the burn. So you're going to have quite a few T codes with that one. All right, and a couple other things is don't forget your extent codes, especially like number 8. It's telling me extent. Okay, it's telling me if I add up, all right, I have to add up the whole body, how much the body was total burnt, that's going to be my 4th character. And then I have to look at how much was just 3rd degree itself. And that tells you just 32% was 3rd degree. So again, my 4th character is going to be how much of the total body was burnt. And then we're going to go ahead with 3rd degree for the 5th character. All right, so with that note here, if anybody has any questions on any of this, please let me know.